I'm going to show you guys what I do with every new plant that I bring into my house. Whether it's from the store or from a friend, I do this with every plant because I really don't want a pest problem on my hands. I have over 30 houseplants. I really don't want to be spreading something to all of them. So the first thing I do is I take a microfiber cloth and some water, distilled if you can swing it, and I just wipe off the leaves, top side and underside. This is good practice because if there are pests, you are manually wiping them off. And then if there are no pests, it's good for the plant because it's just cleaning off dust and debris, and it's just going to look a lot nicer. This plant I got from IKEA, and there was some white stuff on it. I wasn't really thinking it was bugs, but I wasn't sure. After looking at the plant and messing around, I'm pretty sure it's pollen from the flowers. But again, I finished cleaning off the leaves because I do this with every single plant. If you have an actual infestation, you will want to do this with insecticidal soap, but because this is precautionary, I'm just using water. So now I have the pot that I'm going to plant this plant into, and it's just a regular terracotta pot, but it kind of has a really big drainage hole, so I'm going to be using some screen, it's the same stuff you find in your windows, to put in the bottom so that dirt isn't just falling out every time I water. Then you can start filling the pot with soil, depending on how big your plant is versus how big the container is. You may have to fill in the bottom a little bit so that it ends up being level and even with the top of the pot. The next thing I use is one of my favorite pest controls. It's called Systemic Houseplant Insect Control. It's basically a powder that you put into your soil. You'll see I use a really professional tool called a pencil to mix it in. And what happens is when you water the plant is going to take up water and this insect control up through the roots. And it's a really good way to keep pests at bay in your plants. Once you have that in there, you can take it out of its grow pot. You can squeeze the edges and kind of wiggle it out. And this plant I wasn't expecting, but it is a super root-bound plant. You can see all the roots are growing kind of in a circle around each other. And if they keep growing like that, they're going to choke each other out and the plant will die. So the next tool you'll want to use is very professional as well. It's called a fork. And you'll want to basically just tease the roots and pull them apart so that they're not growing in a circle. There's a pretty fine line between tough love and just hurting the plant, but you'll notice that I hardly broke off any roots. So you just want to loosen them up. You don't want to be busting off roots. And once you feel like they're kind of spread out enough, then you can plant it in the pot. And then your next step will be to fill in around the edges with soil to pack that guy in there. Once you fill in the sides, you're going to use more of this insect control. Just in the top couple inches, pour it on there and then mix it in with the pencil. And then of course, whenever you plant, you're going to want to water it in. This one especially, when you're messing with the roots, they need water to be able to support themselves with the shock that you've kind of put them through, so make sure that you water them in really well. And lastly, if there are any bad looking leaves, dead leaves, you can clip those off. And then your plant is potted and it's ready to go and it can safely join the pack.